So welcome to stage 54, and it's that stage of the fortnightly of the 4 weeks again where we come to the end of the pack, so we don't really have any idea what's coming in the next issue. But what I can tell you about this one is that we're now starting to fix things to the cargo bay floor, and if you look at the progress we've made in the last 4 weeks, wow, it's quite a lot done. Let's see how I got on. So this is quite a neat stage actually, because it comes in four steps. Step 1 is to build the basics. Step 2 is to add the accessories. Step 3, we bring in the oscilloscope from the previous week, and then step 4 excuse me, we then fit that to the cargo floor. So as always, let's begin the parts check. So we have 54A is the BGM 340 guidance system top, and that's this silver plastic piece. Then we have the BGM 340 guidance system itself, which looks like it's this one here. Wow, I wasn't expecting that black surface. That's really nice, and that's just sending reflection everywhere. Then we have 54C, and we have 2 of these. These are, apart from being difficult to get out, these are the BGM 340 guidance system side panels, and they look well, I guess they are identical because they've got the same part number. Then 54D is the BGM 340 guidance system base. Now this is grey as opposed to silver, so why particularly that's grey I don't know, but we'll find out, I guess. Then we have 54E is BGM 340 guidance system knob A, and that's these. Now these look identical, but they're numbered on the sprues 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we'll see if we need them in specific places. And then we have 54F. We have 2 guidance system knob Bs. Now these do look a little bit different from the previous parts, as you can see. So I'm going to get my clippers ready, because I think it would be a fair guess that we will need something to cut those off the sprues. Then we have 54G, and there should be 4 of these, and these are the oscilloscope support struts. Now these are metal, and they certainly feel like metal. So why we need 4 metal supports to support this, who knows, but that's a nice little touch. And then we finish off with 3 bags of screws, which is AP screws. Right, we have AP screws, and there should be 8 of these. 6 we need and 2 are spare, and these are 1.7 by 5 millimeters. Then we have IP screws, and there are 5 of these, 1 of which is spare, and these are 2mm by 5mm. And then we should finish up with KP screws. We should have 19 of these, of which 3 are spare, and these are 1.7 by 3, so that's the same as these but a little tiny bit shorter. So let's have a look at step 1, and we require take the 2 BGM 340 guidance system side panels, which is C, and that's these 2, and slot them into the sides of the guidance system B. So It looks like they're going in. This is the ugly side, this is the nice side, and they're going ugly side in. Ugly is probably a bad word to use, but when I say ugly I mean not the best side. Right, that's awkward to go in. So, and that's because I've got it upside down. So you see these tabs on the side, they're a little bit off center. So you actually want a bigger part of the bottom. So, and then you'll see that there's a stopper there. And that's why that didn't go in then. See that time it's gone in beautiful. And then this one can go in. Then we place the guidance system on top of place the guidance system top, which is this piece, on top of these parts, and I'm looking for, there we go. So we've got 4 screw pegs there, and we've got 4 screw holes there with a little housing in the middle, and we've got 2 screw holes there. These need to be ignored for now. So with the pattern side, I'm going to call this the pattern side, the black side, to our right, and I'm going to call this to the left. It's going to go in like that. If you placed it in the wrong way, because there's a little channel cut there, it's not going to fit. So it actually goes in that way, and then we will secure that with 4 AP screws. Oh look, I got 4 out for a change. So remember, these are plastic screws, so we need to be a little bit careful. Don't over tighten them. And that's not even rotating. Why is that? There we go. It's still not rotating. Let's try a better head, shall we? Keep threatening to make a list of all the screws and then what the best screw head is to use them, because quite often I'll pick the screw driver up and it looks okay, and then it just doesn't work because the screwdriver head can't get a good bite on the screw because it's too small or it's too large. Right, so I've been a bit naughty there, and I've actually driven the first 2 screws fully home, and don't worry about that base bending, that's just where I'm holding it down so hard. Now I'm looking to get those screws below the surface, which they are there. Okay, that's absolutely perfect just with 2 screws in. This is one of the things I love about these part works, the amount of screws they give you. And you could probably get away with 1 screw on this. It's just all you're doing is screwing in a couple of bits of plastic, and that would hold with the little pegs. It would probably hold it absolutely fine, but 4 screws, it looks neater and it just gives it a little bit more support as well. More support is good, isn't it? There we go. And that side's not going to come out, and that is the end of step 1. And then on to step 2, and we begin by removing the A knobs. So the A knobs is 54E, so I'm just going to refer back to my instructions. We can see that A knobs is the little sprue of 5, and that's these. So we now want to install them. You can see the 5 different holes. So let me give you a little trick for removing things from sprues. If I was just to cut this off there, there's a really good chance that it could just fly off and I lose it. To combat that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to place a piece of masking tape over the sprue, but making sure the cut line is still exposed, and then I'm going to get another piece of masking tape and I'm going to place on the other side, and then I'm going to really push that masking tape in So I want to get the masking tape stuck to the other bit of masking tape in the middle, and this one's a little bit too low, but that's fine, we can adjust this. Excuse me, the this masking tape is very low stick, so if it is in the wrong place, that's fine. So now what happened, watch as what happens when I cut these off. They've not flown off everywhere, and then when I want one, all I need to do is just pull it out of the masking tape, and there it is. So these go into the round holes. Now I haven't placed one in yet, but I'm thinking these are going to be a push fit connection, so I want to know how. Do you know what, actually they're perfect fit, they're absolutely perfect. I was a little bit worried if they didn't fit in properly, will they fall out? And they're not falling out at all, they're quite stiff actually. So one thing I'm noticing about this panel, which obviously if you drop it, there's no amount of masking tape in the world can save you from that, but there is another trick. I will show you on the last one. So if you're finding that a little bit fiddly, you could pick them up with tweezers, but the problem with tweezers, let me show you on a piece that I don't really mind losing. If you squeeze just wrong, can you see how that flies off? So having gone through all that trouble to pick these up, I mean that will probably be fine, but you do run the risk of it popping out. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to get another piece of masking tape, quite small, and I'm going to pop that on the inside of my tweezers, like so. And another one on this one, and that just gives you a little bit more grip. It was saying that it's still not going to go in. You do lose a little bit of strength when you're using tweezers, but you do gain a little bit more control. There we go, that's gone in absolutely fine. As an alternative to masking tape, it's a little bit more permanent. But one idea I used to do with some other tweezers was I popped a little bit of electrical heat shrink tubing, and you just slide the tubing over there and then heat it, and it gives it a rubber surface, and it's nice and grippy then. Right, so we've now done these knobs as per first half of step 2. The second stage on stage 2 is to do the B knobs, and these look larger, so I'm just going to cut one off at a time as I require it. And you will notice that you have a small knob, and then you have this it's like they tried to print a peg, but there's lots of what do you call it, flash on it, but it is meant to be there. And that's, you can see that that's going into those, should we call them a slotty hole? I know I did say slotty. Right, so there's one in, and then the second one. When you're holding parts, if you're doing just a single part, always put more attention to holding the part, because it's the part that you're not holding that's likely to fly off. If this bit flew off, that wouldn't be the end of the world. If I lost this part, oh, could be a disaster, couldn't it? Right, there we go. So that's stage 2 complete. So we've got the knobs and the whistles, and then we move on to step 3, and we need to attach this to the oscilloscope, the guidance system to the control panel. So we bring this part in from the previous issue, and we're going to attach this base bit onto there, and I think I can already see where it's going. So we need to have a look again. The magazine is quite vague because of the colors that they use, but if you look closely you can see that this is the short peg, this is the long peg, and this is the short peg, this is the long peg, and then we want to attach this somehow with this little flap pointing towards the long bit. So from there we can figure that out, and that's going to go in like so. Look at that, that's getting there already. And then we want 2 AP screws, and we're just going to secure that with those 2 pegs. So we'll load up our screws, and I still think I've got the wrong screwdriver head in, you know. Although I've used AP screws, I think maybe I want to go smaller rather than larger. I don't know, the screw just doesn't feel comfortable today. Yeah, that's just as bad. Okay guys, so bear with me for a second. I do apologise, I have screwdriver head issues. Yeah, I think it's the hardness of the plastic, you know. Yeah, that's way too big. I'm having real problems today. Let's try it with a different screw. Yeah, that's going in fine. And what doesn't help is that this is a hollow box, so as you push it kind of flexes in a little bit. Do you know what? I'm going to try a completely different screwdriver. Look at that, it's a screwdriver. Yeah, it is flexing a little bit. So, but once it's gone in, I don't know if you can see, as I push, it pushes the bottom in. You just have to be quite gentle and let the screw pull the part towards the screw. Don't force the screw into the part. There we go. That's perfect. So there's a little bit of wobble there, but we're not going to be pulling on this anyway. So that is that part done. So next we want to pop the base in, which is piece D, and let me see how this goes in. So we have these screw holes facing upwards, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we have a locating peg there. We have a hole there and 2 holes there, and then you can see underneath is locating, what would you call those, where the screw hole acts as a locator, and then we have 2 holes there and a locating peg, and that's all going to slip into there, as you can see, with the locating peg going there. That's going to be a perfect fit, and then we will secure that with one of my least favourite screws, I will admit, the IP screws. I often have a little bit of trouble with these screws. I think that these are very unforgiving. Well, they have been for me. If you just, you know what, I'm giving up on that screwdriver for this build. This is an oversized screwdriver, technically far too large for the build, but it just seems to be absolutely perfect for this stage. I don't know where I got it from. I think this is a shop bought screwdriver, as opposed to one of the screwdrivers that you get with the various builds that we do. But that's gone in absolutely fine. It just seems to be doing the job today. Right, so the next step, it's going to be slightly awkward. We have to put these parts in, and that's going to fix that wobble, isn't it? Remember, we have this wobble there. Each one of these is going to require 4 screws, and that's 3 down one side and then 1 on the base. And I think what I'll do is I will attach just the base screw first on all 4 of them, and that will get that part on, and then that will probably be the fiddliest part. And once that's on, I think this might be a little bit too big a screwdriver, but yeah, if I just attach the base, yeah, this is just not happening for me today. Look, big oversized screwdriver just seems to be doing the job perfectly for me. I don't know why that is. And this screwdriver has done me well for well, these screwdriver heads have done me well for a long time, and I do believe strongly in that a bad workman blames his tools. So I'm not going to say there's anything wrong with this screwdriver. You know, I am going to switch to a slightly smaller screwdriver. Yeah, so I'm really reluctant to blame the screwdriver, because that screwdriver has done me very well, and I've often sang its praises. Right, so that's 2 screws in on that side, and as you see, I don't need to worry about that anymore. The parts aren't going to fly off. Excuse me. So I'm just going to focus on getting these 2 sides in, then I can come back and bolt them in properly. I do apologise, it's difficult to see, because it's pretty much largely one single colour, and there's the light really affects it when there's only one colour. Right, so I'm noticing there's a bit of a bend on this one, so when I screw these side screws in, and I might have screwed that just a little bit too tight actually. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to screw from the bottom and work my way up on each one. Now, there are 12 screws to put in, and I can appreciate it's going to be quite boring. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to divide my screws into piles of 3, so I know where I am. And then I'm going to do this one a little bit speeded up, just so it's not so boring for you. So I will see you in a moment. Okay, so that is the part complete, and I'm really liking that. Now, what I find quite interesting is, given that it's all plastic apart from the screws, and obviously these supports are metal, there's no movement there anymore, by the way. I think that's actually quite considerably heavy given what the material is. Maybe most of the weight comes from the screws, but I do find that quite interesting. So let's move on to step 4, which we need to fit the parts of the cargo area floor. But to do that, I need to bring in the cargo area floor, so I'm just going to do a quick camera cut. See you shortly. Okay, so I have my cargo area floor brought through. Absolutely beautiful, and it surprised me. I forgot how heavy it was, and this hasn't even been attached to the main body of the Ecto-1 yet. So what we need to do is we need to attach this to the floor, and it's very tempting to place it in that way. Well, of course, that's not the way it works. It's designed to be operated from this seat here. You have six holes, and a locating peg. So there's one locating peg which is going to go there, and then we have these 4 holes. They're just simply for location, and then you have these 2 holes there, and all it will do is we'll just pop that into there like so. And we just need to just stop for a moment, because we have these 2 long tubes coming through here. If you remember when we did this piece the other week, so these are long for a reason, and these actually need to be threaded through there, so they go in between the short and the long supports, and we can just bring that through, and we will secure these off later, but I would recommend we don't do it just yet. Let's just see what we need, because remember we've got a screw going in there, and I can see straight away that my screwdriver is not going to go in there. My normal screwdriver won't go in there, so I'm going to have to turn my attentions to the thinnest screwdriver that I own, which is this one, and we just check. Yep, that's going to go in fine. So we need 2 IP screws, and we can see that there's one just down there, and there's the other one there. So there and there. So IP screws. So in fact, actually I'm not going to screw these in now, because now that I can see where these tubes are going to go, maybe we should consider, well, we've got all this maneuverability, let's sort these tubes out. So the first thing I want to do is the one that's coming nearest inwards, I want to go that way, and that's quite useful because this nasty kink that we've got is actually going to go underneath there. So I'm going to just bring this tube round, and I'm going to plug that into there, and this is going to be difficult because these plugs, when I did them before, I was able to pull them through from the inside, but obviously we've got no inside, so they are just going to plug into there, and I think maybe the easiest way might be to push them with tweezers. There we go, that's gone in absolutely fine, and this one can come round, and yeah, this is probably the best way to do it, because as you can see, because it's not fixed down, I've got more maneuverability. So let's plug this one in. Oh yes, lovely, that's going in absolutely fine. So be careful to pull that through rather than just grabbing it, because we don't want to pull those plugs out. We now know that it's easier to get those plugs in. Right, so these are very long, so see, they're longer than I would like. So let's have, if you remember before, I actually pulled these through, and I actually pulled them down, but these ones, we didn't know how much tubing we would require, did we? So we left them long. So let's see if I can, yeah, I've done these cable ties really tight, and I now wish I hadn't, because now it means that I can't really. Right, so let's push that down, should we, perhaps? May not be proper, and let's also see if we can, is that actually a hole? I think that's a hole. The best way to find it if it's a hole is with a cocktail stick. I think that's a hole. So if we're good enough, we can actually push all the excess through that hole. No, I don't think it's going to go. Right. Oh, don't we have fun here. We always get a fiddly, awkward issue, and it's usually the engine, and people refer to it as that issue, and then you'll get an issue later on in the build which is seemingly easy, and it turns out it's really hard. So I'm just going to arrange these wires so that they're neat, and I think that's okay like that. So what I'm going to do with these is, maybe with that cocktail stick, I just want to pull these wires down. No, cocktail stick's not going to work. So with a thin screwdriver, let's just pull these down into this gap there, just at least so they look a bit neater, and I would be okay with that. And of course it would help if I actually had it in the right position. So it's not fantastic, but I think that's quite neat and out of the way. So let's screw this down with our screwdriver, and I would suggest, now that's a problem for me, because this screwdriver does not seem to be magnetized. So what I'm going to have to do is, if you don't have a magnetized screwdriver and this is the only one that fits, get this edge one in first. We'll get that one screwed in. Right, so obviously I want to get the screw into there, and as you can see it's not magnetized. So what I'm going to have to do is turn the part upside down. It's going to be awkward to do. Obviously if I had it, let's try my other. Yeah, that's not going to fit. You know, that one will. Okay, so ignore that. But what I was going to say was, if the only screwdriver you have that will fit is not magnetized, what you can still do is place the screw on the end of the screwdriver, hold it upright, and then turn the part upside down and bring it. It's not such a good way of doing it, but it's a way that works. Right guys, so I am happy enough with this. I have been a bit forced to tuck this wire down there, but I don't think it looks absolutely awful. I think it looks rather neat on the whole, but yeah, that part's great. So I'm really happy with that, and this does look something like the finished model, but unfortunately I can't tell you what's happening in the next issue, because we've not got, this is the end of the pack and we've not got the next pack yet. So I will bring up on the screen after we've finished the next week's parts, but it looks possibly like some seats, which can't remember where the seats go. Will there be more seats here? Anyway, we'll find out next week. So have a wonderful week. Take care guys, and I will see you in issue 16 of the Build of the Ecto-1, which of course will be stage 55. You guys take care.